Alright, I'm going to give a rundown on how I made this tailstock model with Autodesk Inventor by rewinding the part and walking you guys through it. So first off, we start by just making the base of that object. Step 2 was to do the little cutouts on the end and then extrude cut those back. Next feature you want to make is the cylinder. Now that cylinder, to give you a little preview, was made by sketching on the end of this base. That's why you can see that green circle right there. And then I figured out what distances I needed to extrude back at the screen and then away from the screen there. Or, if you just look in the window, you can see there as well. After that, drop a work axis in. That tool for that is right up here. You just click on the cylinder. It's going to give you that line going through the middle, and you'll be able to reference that for quite a few other features down the road when making this tailstock. Next, we make the pedestal, or the gooseneck that supports the cylinder. As you can see here, again, we sketched on the end of the base, figured out the shape we needed. Don't forget the little flat part here before you extrude that back. And then just extrude it to the other end of the base. Next, I dropped a work plane in right here that was a certain distance up from this area of the base, or from the very bottom of the base all the way up near the top, not quite tangent. And if you look closely at the drawing, you'll see that those two surfaces or platforms off to the side here aren't quite to the top of the cylinder, so they're whatever this. The easiest way is to set a work plane up there so we can sketch and then extrude back down. That's what that is there for, that work plane. And then you'll see, in fact I'll just turn that on so you can see it the whole time. See how it's not quite cutting through the top of the cylinder. Put in the little platform first, so I just sketched on that work plane. Now notice when I highlight the sketch, you can see it go all the way into the center line. It was really what it did there was project that work axis I told you about up. F7, remember, slices the object, so this line is projected up because of the work axis. So I drew a line down, then I left click and hold to do a half circle, and then bring that line back in, and then close off your profile, and then dimension it so you know where it goes. Look at the drawing for those, or copy these here. Finish sketch, and then extrude it down whatever distance was needed. And essentially we repeat that step on the next feature as well. Now here, because we want this to integrate in with the gooseneck, you need to just go ahead and extrude it all the way down to the top of the base. We will just clean it up here with another step by doing an extrude cut in this area. Essentially what I did was just sketched on the end of the base here, which gives me all these yellow lines, and all I had to do was connect a single line from this point straight down, which is essentially even with the edge of that feature. And I'm going to just extrude cut this whole area away to clean it off. Pretty easy to do. After that, we throw another work plane in right here on the base, and that work plane was simply an offset from here. Remember how to offset? You just do plane tool, left click, hold, drag in, and if it says it's negative the direction you want, just keep it negative and go in a certain distance. This work plane is going to be for the faces of the little side walls. There's a dimension that shows us what that needs to be then. Escape because I don't need an extra work plane at the moment. And then you'll see those features, each end pop in, and that was simply done because of these sketches right there. I sketched on that work plane through the base, bringing those up. Important thing here is these sketches, when you make them, if I hit F7 again, you need them to go up into the cylinder so that way they blend together properly. You can see I I actually stopped even with the yellow line at first because even I forgot the first time, the yellow line represented where the bottom of the cylinder was. So it looked like my walls were missing a part. So I just add a little rectangle on top there. So that way when it goes in, it all blends together correctly. Otherwise you get a little gap here if you don't. Next step is on the other end here. If we have this angled end wall, we need to cut that area off. So we're just going to put a sketch on the end of this part right here, and all you have to draw in is this one little line, and then hit finish sketch. And what we do is we extrude cut, and we set our distance to 2, and you click on this surface right over here, that slanting surface, and it just removes everything along that angle, and it gives us this nice clean angled look over there. Remember, and the other thing is, you notice I haven't put any holes in or anything like that. We want to just build the basic solid object before we start detailing it out with holes. Next we will put the little platform here on top of the base. Relatively easy. Excuse me. There I just put this extra little thick part on the one end of the cylinder. A little better view of it from there. Next step was on the bottom. I made the bottom of the base hollow. I'm going to actually just shut this back off, and we don't need it now. If I back this up, so this is what the base looked like. Sketched on this surface, just drew out and around, so I got the proper wall thicknesses, and then extrude cut in. Then I'm going to put a work plane in that drops down from the roof. So plane tool, highlight, left click hold, I start dragging down. You can kind of see over on the side here, you know, where the shading's a little different. You can tell that work plane is coming down at us. And I get a proper distance in here. And if you look at your drawing, it should tell you where the ribs go down to. We're going to make a rib system here. It's a little bit different than we've done before. I think this one's even easier. All you have to do is draw, there the ribs are. They pop in like that. Shut off that visibility. This rib system, you just got to draw the lines that represent where the ribs will be running. And the ribs will center on them and then go back up at the roof of the base when you make it. And if you need a little more detail on how to do that rib tool, hit finish. I guess I can just go in there quick now. So for profile, you just select all the lines, and then we are going to be doing this style rib. The work plane is parallel to the direction it's going, and then just toggle your buttons here to get it to extrude the right direction, and set up your thickness for what you need, and that'll make the ribs down there for you. We'll see F6 back to our default isometric view. I can shut this work plane off so we don't confuse it with the next step. I put a work plane in that was tangent to the top. Okay, if I turn it from here, you can see so. Tangent with the cylinder, not the little extra ring at the end. And we need that so we can put in this little raised platform on top of that. And that really that's all the solid modeling you need to do. Now we're going to start carving away at it. And that'll be done by putting a hole in the cylinder the long way. This hole's a little bit different. We're going to add threads to one end, so I'll just bring that up so you can see the settings. Slide it over here. And you had to make a sketch on the end first, but as soon as you hit sketch, it gives it the little yellow dot. You're good. Hit finish. And then use the hole tool command to select your center point. It's a normal hole. And your size is just down here at 1.125. Your designation is 1 1/8 -12. This probably will set up default once you pick the first one. And I'm sorry, to get this information you gotta click on tap tool here. That means threaded. And we want to, if it's checked for full depth, uncheck that and make sure we only put threads in the first 3/4 of an inch of the hole. And then hit OK. And you can see just 3/4 of an inch is threaded, that's it. Next hole is up on the platform. This is a little bit different. We're actually going to do 2 holes in the same spot. This hole was made by sketching on that surface. New sketch, finish, use the center plate, go down. That hole is a 7/8 diameter hole, goes down 1.25. Okay, and then you're going to sketch right here on this surface again, make another sketch, then hit finish, because all we're after is that little yellow dot in the middle. And you're going to make another hole that finishes the rest of the way through in the same spot, because we just need a little area that's threaded. And excuse me. Again, normal hole, tapped, and you're going to set it to 3125 for a size, and that's 5/16 of a fraction. Should auto default there probably. If you want to go to 2, just make it the bottom of this surface and hit OK. And it'll just thread that last little bit. And technically, it's trying to thread air up here, but it's not a big deal. It results in what we're after, the threaded area on the bottom. F6. Next will be the other little platform. And that's the information for that hole. So on. Okay. Then we have a hole through that little platform. Information for that. The next hole, I think, is up in that little slot there. Yes, it is. And that's just a little 1/8 inch hole that goes only to the hole through the cylinder, not all the way through. That's why I got 2 selected. You pick that surface. Then we have fillets. And a lot of the fillets are 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to kind of highlight off and on so you see them maybe flash a little bit. Those are 1/4 inch fillets all there. Then all those are 1/4 inch fillets. These are 1/4 inch fillets. That one is an 1/8 inch fillet. Yep, 1/8 inch fillet. And then underneath the cylinder and over on the far side of the base, pretty sure 1/4 inch again. Yep. The fillets around the platforms, 1/8 inch. I can open that up to double check for you. Yep, 1/8 inch. That's all around the platforms. Now be careful, you can't do this outer edge yet. You have to do that as its own little fillet. And that's the next one. Then you do another one right there that's for that 1/8 inch. F6. Right here. Up on the end of the tube in the slot, that's a little 1/16 inch fillet. And then we have the underside of the base. Down here, the roof. You're going to do the 4 edges of the roof and then the 2 vertical under there. Those are all 1/4 inch. And then all the ribs, they are 1/16 inch fillets. Along the ribs, the roof, where they join in between, all those edges, 1/16 of an inch. Then this one, oh, probably could have done these 2 a little earlier, but at the top there, those little side walls, those are 1/4 inch. And last but not least, the end of the tube, 1/8 inch. Okay, so that is a quick walkthrough on how to make this CAD tailstock part for class. Have fun.